gonna lift his name. Let's sing together. You ready? You are love, you are life. You have opened up my eyes. You are good, you never change. We praise your name. You are meek, you are strong. Your love has conquered all. You are great, you still remain. We praise your name. We have come here to lift up your name. All glory and honor and praise to the King of Kings. You are why we sing. You are worthy, worthy, Jesus. We lift your name. You are the one we praise. You are our shield, our salvation. You're our refuge and our Savior. You are Lord, worthy of our praise. We bless your name. We have come here to lift up your name. Oh, glory and honor and praise to the King of Kings. You are why we sing. You are worthy, worthy, Jesus. We lift your name to the King of Kings. You are why we sing. You are worthy, worthy, Jesus. We lift your name. You are the one we praise. Oh, praise it. Savior, you're my help in need, my shelter, your hands cover me. My healer gave you life so I'd be free. Savior, you're my help in need, my shelter, your hands cover me. My healer gave you life so I'd be free. Savior, you're my help in need, my shelter, your hands cover me. My healer gave you life so I'd be free. Savior, you're my help in need, my shelter, your hands cover me. My healer gave you life so I'd be free. To the King of Kings, you are why we sing. You are worthy, worthy, Jesus. We lift your name. To the King of Kings, you are why we sing. You are worthy, worthy, Jesus. We lift your name. You are worthy, worthy, Jesus. We lift your name. You are worthy, worthy, Jesus. We lift your name. You are the one we praise. He's the one we praise. The one that gave all for us. The one that fights our battles. The one that loves us. That turns our bad into good. I've fought the world, but it didn't feel me. praise and treasures that fade are never enough. Then you came along and put me back together, and every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you. Lord, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. I know it's true.
Hey there, welcome to Chase Oaks Online. My name is Jason.
And I'm Liz. We're so excited you're joining us this weekend. And especially if you're new, we want to say hi. We'd also love to give you some information about our church, see how we can connect with you, and how best we can serve you. So you can text us the word NEW to 58578. We'd love to get in contact with you this week and see how we can best connect you to Chase Oaks.
That's awesome. Well, Liz, we got some exciting news.
All right.
Next week on Sunday, October 4th, all the campuses, except for Richardson, will be meeting together for live worship. It's going to be amazing.
Oh,
it's going to be so much fun.
That's right. So there's not going to be kids ministry just yet for October 4th, but we're really excited to get together and start meeting again. And then when we do get together, we are going to ask you to register because space is limited. So there's going to be some guidelines we need you to follow to keep everybody safe and feeling comfortable as we start to get back together. So those guidelines and registration and some information on what to expect is all going to be on our Countdown to Regather page on our website. So make sure you check it out.
Then on November 1st, we're going to have a full regather with Kids Zone.
Woo!
There is hope for my 2-year-old social life after all.
Oh, poor thing.
Now, if you're watching this, you're super excited. You've already put it down on your calendar, but there are some who, one, just can't make it, or two, not ready to come back. And that's totally fine. Our online experience is here to stay. All the resources, all the opportunities, everything else, it's going to be here. Yeah, and so you're not going to miss anything.
Yes. That's going to be great. So we're going to be here. And at Chase Oaks, we want the cities where we're located, the neighborhoods we live in, and the community we interact with, the people we talk to all be glad that Chase Oaks is here. Because we are a here for good church. And we want everyone to know that. A lot of times that's going to look like caring for the most vulnerable in our society. But sometimes it means just showing up and making someone's day.
Yeah, so we just started a new initiative called It's On Us. And a couple of days ago, a couple of people went to one of my favorite coffee shops, Armor Coffee, and just check out this video.
You have the large iced Americano?
Yes, sir, that's us.
All right, I got it right here for you. Just so y'all know, Chase Oaks is blessing everybody today, so we got y'all covered. Oaks is blessing everybody today and buying their drinks for them. So you're all set.
You don't have to pay. Yeah, here's a little card if you want to get more info.
Here you guys go.
Perfect. Have a good rest of your day. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much.
I am at Armor Coffee here in Allen to spark a little bit of joy and fun in our community during just a crazy hard time. So we're here this morning just buying coffee for people going through the drive-thru or coming through the store. And let me tell you, it's been so awesome to see people's faces on a Monday morning to get a free coffee.
So y'all, Chase Oaks Church actually gave Armor a huge gift card and just said pay for everyone's drinks and meals today.
A lot of people have been really blessed, I would say. You can tell their moods have changed.
We're just spreading some joy and fun and really letting people know that we're here for them, here for good, and we can still have some fun and enjoy some small things in our lives, whether it's coffee, a tank of gas, maybe even some gifts at Christmas time. It's on us, and we are definitely being here for good in this season.
Well, that was such a cool video, wasn't it?
Yes, that was awesome.
Well, if it was something small, like treating someone to coffee, or something big, like helping out with food insecurities or at-risk children, we couldn't do it without your generosity.
Yes, and here at Chase Oaks, we firmly believe that generosity is not something we have to do, but it's something we get to do. And we are so appreciative of your generosity changing the lives of so many people here in our community and around the world. Generosity can help someone in need, it can show God's love, and it can also just make someone's day and maybe even change their perception of what church is all about. So we just want to say thank you to those that are giving right now. You're making such a huge difference. And if you haven't started to give, let me encourage you to do so. You can go on our Chase Oaks app or give on our website.
Well, we are in week 2 of our series Going There, and Ryan Leake is in the house, and he's going to be talking to us about things that are just polarizing in our culture.
Yes, and before Ryan comes out, we have one more song from the band, so let's sit back and enjoy.
This song, that we're about to do, it was written by Sam Cooke. And he wrote this song from a lot of different situations and a lot of things that happened. And this particular song, he and his band were on the road touring, and they stopped at a hotel in Louisiana to rest for the night, and they couldn't stay because of the color of their skin. So after that and other things that had transpired over time, he sat and he wrote this song. And the song just tells of the history and that always wanting something to be different and something to change and something to happen. So I always believe, and my hope is that there's always hope that something will change. I was born by the river in a little tent, and oh, just like that river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. But I know a change gon' come. Oh, yes it will. See, I go to the movies and I go downtown, but somebody keeps telling me, don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, it's been a long time coming, but I know a change gon' come. Oh, yes it will. Then I go my brother, and I say, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me. Carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh, I know
What's up, Chase Oaks? Thank you so much for tuning in to this weekend service. If it is your first time checking us out, if a friend sent you this video, if you don't consider yourself a church person, or maybe you've been attending Chase Oaks for a long time, you just haven't been paying attention, we have been doing a collection of talks called Going There, looking at some issues that can often divide us. And I want you to know that this weekend, we're going to be talking about race, which is very interesting because Jeff Jones prayerfully considers the teaching schedule and what should be taught and kind of how we divvy up some of those topics. And actually, I believe it was about 3 or 4 months ago that Jeff called and said, hey, man, can you talk about race September 25th and 27th? And I said, sure. And also, I just want to say, Jeff Jones has done a phenomenal job talking about race and trying to do his best to connect with other local church pastors to bring about diversity and inclusion in our city. And I just wanted to just honor him and his leadership and how he's been able to even navigate that through a pandemic. So he says, hey, Ryan, I want you to do it on this particular weekend. And I said, of course. And obviously, we did not plan for a Breonna Taylor verdict to come out a couple of days before that talk. And so we also didn't plan for a corporation to ask me to speak on diversity and inclusion this past week, one day after a Breonna Taylor verdict was released nationwide. And so it's interesting coming into a race conversation, believing that maybe it's in response to the news that's happened this week, but that's actually not the case. And on the other hand, could it be the case that it was God ordained that we would be having this conversation this weekend in the middle of what can be some very polarizing conversations for us and our family members, for us and our neighbors, for us and our friends, for us and people that we love, that sometimes we go, man, we're pretty far apart. And if you think about it, the glossary of index we've been given by culture to talk about race are so, it causes us to be so emotionally triggered. I mean, as soon as we see these words, everyone has an emotion immediately. And sometimes that emotion triggers these words. Well, all lives matter. Black lives matter. And then some people go, well, no, let's talk about it. It's blue lives matter. And then we start having the conversation, then we get to white privilege and go, whoa, I worked for, nothing was handed to me. What do you mean by that? And then we go, man, what about white supremacy? And then we go into anti-racist, and we have this language that we feel forced, and can I say exhausted, tired of the vocabulary that we've been given, and it's almost like we all feel stuck. I'll be honest, I have black liberal friends that know what I do for a living, and they go, hey, this is what you need to say this weekend. Here's what you need to say. I have black conservatives that go, no, this is what you need to say. I also have white liberal friends that go, no, this is what you need to do. And I have white conservative friends that go, no, this is what you need to do. And then I'm married to a Puerto Rican. It's like Holy Spirit wife, you know what I mean? So it's like, what do you do? And then you got your friends that are just in the middle, that are just kind of going. So you have that weight that, a lot of people have an opinion about what people that do what I do for a living should be saying from the stage. And then, so that's in one hand. On this other hand, we have media narratives. And there are some amazing journalists, broadcasters, media personnel that go to Chase Oaks and that may be family and friends of yours who do their job with the utmost integrity. But what is broadcasted and what we do with what is broadcasted are two completely different things. And I'm just going to speak to you from my own heart, my own conviction about what I was doing with what was broadcasted. And I didn't realize it until late August, what was happening on the inside of my own soul. It was I was scrolling, and I have to confess something to you. Okay, so I actually find it entertaining to watch people argue on Facebook. I do. Like, I never get involved. I just watch, and I'm just like, oh, that's hilarious. Ooh, oh, and it's like a pay-per-view fight that I get for free, you know? And so you're just kind of watching and watching and watching, and here's what happened late August, and it breaks my heart to admit this to you. I'm scrolling, and I come across this story, and it says, U.S. Marshals have rescued 39 missing children. And I went like this, cool. And then I went looking for something else, and I realized I was actually addicted to bad news. You know what's interesting? Is we see bad news headlines and make conclusions about bad news in sometimes one city and make whole national conclusions about everybody. Have you ever heard that? Have you ever heard someone go, our country? I can't believe this would happen in our country. Did you see anybody posting about the U.S. Marshals rescuing 39 missing children and go, look at our country? You know, and sometimes when I feel the burden of what our country feels like it's carrying, that there's so much bad news, I'm just kind of like, you know what? I'd love to take anybody to lunch. Anybody, you bring all the bad news you want. I promise you I'll win the news game with more good news. I promise you. Because, I mean, think about it. Think about what Chase Oaks has done for essential workers during a pandemic. No one looks at that and goes, what a great country. That a group of people would put their resources together to make sure that people have enough and that their kids have a place to go while they serve the city. And so what I realized in my own heart is that I had an interesting dichotomy. I had people's opinions about what I should do and how I should do it. I also had what felt like, you know what, sometimes almost as if media headlines had my heart on a string and could pull it in one direction or another. And what's also interesting is when you start to dive into social injustice, what you will find is that there are so many social injustices that not all of them get hashtags. Not all of them make headlines. And so sometimes it's popular to be engaged in one social injustice and not as popular to be engaged or involved in another. And I realized that there was a discrepancy in what I believed and what I was actually doing. And the dichotomy for me is this, is while I'm wrestling with all of this bad news, my whole life has been grounded on the good news of Jesus Christ. That new life can be available to anybody wherever they are, that marriages can be restored, that people can have peace in the midst of chaos. And what's so interesting is that the world that you and I live in, it feels like nothing is stable, and we desperately need an anchor for our souls. So tonight is not Ryan's opinion on race. Tonight, we are looking to an anchor for all of our souls. His name is Jesus, and he has some thoughts on race that I think helps us be better humans for those around us. My story, as it pertains to race and how I've been processing it, actually changed about 3 years ago because of a Christmas gift that was given to me by my in-laws. They gave me access to Ancestry DNA. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to be careful with Ancestry DNA. A friend of mine got an Ancestry DNA kit for his father, only to find out he's not the father. So be careful, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm going to reveal to you my Ancestry DNA. And I want the audience here to relax, okay? I just want you to be relaxed, okay? When you see what you see, do not be surprised. Ladies and gentlemen, it comes to find out that I'm 33% Nigerian, which means my wedding was way too short, okay? I don't know if you've ever been to a Nigerian wedding. It's not an event, it's a week. You have to take days off of work. There's multiple dresses. Listen, the first time I went to a Nigerian wedding, they started taking up a love offering for the bride from the groom's side. Okay, so they're going to the groom's side going, okay, you got 20? Okay, great. And they started throwing money on the ground. And somebody who, unbeknownst to me, I don't know who this person was picking up the money and counting it. 1, 2, 3, and all of a sudden he holds it up, he goes, it is not enough. I go, what is going on, okay? Like, apparently I did my wedding all the way wrong. And so I'm going, okay, 33%. And then I'm going, okay, Western Bantu peoples, 21%. I ain't never been to Western Band 2, but hey, maybe I'll go. I shared this with a friend, and he said, oh, man, this is awesome. Do you know what tribe you're from? I said, Chicago? Wakanda? I don't know, okay? I got to figure this thing out. And so then here's where things went south, okay? Things went south right around 5% Scotland? What is this, 2% Wales? Like, no offense, but who's Walesy in here? You know what I mean? Like, and that's even a weird term. You know, who wants to be called Walesy? Okay, and then Ireland, and I'm going, I'm Irish. Like, are you serious? My wife did it, and my wife has been claiming to be Puerto Rican for forever. But the test showed that she is mostly Portuguese. I looked at her. I said, I need a moment. You have deceived me. These half, what I thought were African-American, half Puerto Rican children can I just have a moment to just realize that they're mostly Portuguese because of you, okay? I just need a moment. She goes, well, I didn't know you were Irish either, so I'm like, listen, this is about you, ownership, okay? You need to own your Portuguese, and I own my Irish. Now, I mean, here's the reality. Here's what we would find if every single person watching this message were to take an ancestry DNA test. Here's what we'd find. None of us are 100% anything. None of us. None of our great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmas are from America. Sorry. We're all stuck with each other. And you know what we'd find? Is we'd find that there is a little bit of me in you. And there's a little bit of you in me. And, let this sink in for a minute. If there is a group of people in your life that you are particularly frustrated with, there is a small chance you are frustrated with yourself. We are a conglomerate, a melting pot of a bunch of stuff. And sometimes race conversations are so black and so white as if there's no other colors in the room. And there are. Ladies and gentlemen, we may not have realized this, but right now in America, only 50% of the U.S. population under the age of 18 is Caucasian. By the year 2045, the U.S. Bureau of Consensus and Data Analytics of how they're looking at the population say that only 49% of America will be Caucasian by the year 2045. Our future is full of color, whether we like it or not. And I believe it's our duty as the church to lead the way. I believe it's our duty as people that have looked to Jesus to be an anchor for our soul, as we have looked to Jesus to say, hey, we're going to follow him. Where Jesus leads us is a place that isn't all that comfortable, but it's better than where we are. How did Jesus show his disciples? How did he illustrate to them what it means to deal with race in polarizing topics? Very simple, ladies and gentlemen. Show and tell. Show and tell. Now, just a little bit about this crew that Jesus is leading. There's 12 of them. It says in Mark chapter 3, he appointed the 12. Simon, to whom he gave the name Peter, James, John, Andrew, Philip, Bartholomew, we never hear anything about him, Matthew, Thomas, James, Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. So we've got 12 guys. These are not master degreed individuals. This is not the creme de la creme of society. Also realize Jesus has a very, small mission, save the world. Okay, and you look at the crew that he picked. These are fishermen. These are regular young men. In fact, 2 of them got mommy issues. We see their mommy issues in Matthew chapter 20. It says, then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came up to him with her sons, and kneeling before him, she asked him for something. And he said to her, what do you want? I don't know if you ever had that mama that showed up to school when you was in trouble. Like this mama has shown up to Jesus Christ and going, hey, I got something to talk to you about Jesus. It's like, she must not know he's the Savior of the world. He created her technically, but we'll just let this slide, okay? And then she said to him, say, these 2 sons of mine are to sit, one at your right hand and one at your left in your kingdom. Jesus is going, I got to deal with your mama. Do you not realize we're trying to save the world? Okay, so just do roll call, okay? We got 3 sets of brothers, okay? We've got Simon the Zealot, who was a part, and we talked about that a little bit last week, who was a part of a very politically charged group. Matthew the tax collector, Judas the traitor, Thomas the doubter, Peter the loner, he was the oldest of the disciples, we believe, and Bartholomew the unknown. So we've got this group of individuals who have a very diverse background themselves in terms of their upbringing, their career choice. But from what we know, they're all Jewish. So what does Jesus do with a group of fishermen, tax collectors, traders? Matthew and Simon don't get along because of their political backgrounds. How would Jesus show them a different way? It's very simple. Field trips. That's right. Field trips. He take them on field trips. Whenever you're reading scripture, whenever you're studying the life of Jesus, here's a fun trick, okay? What Jesus did is equally important as where Jesus did it. If you look at the locations, we're going to look at 3 very briefly. These field trips that Jesus took the disciples on changed the game for them forever. And here's what it says in Mark chapter 5, verse 1. It says, they came to the other side of the sea, to the country of Gerasenes. Right before this, Jesus says this, let us go to the other side. To which everyone will go, the other side of what? It's the other side of the Sea of Galilee. Do you know what's on the other side of the Sea of Galilee? This place. You know what this place is? It was a region called Decapolis, 10 cities, dominated mostly by the Roman Empire, very pagan, sensual town. These people hated Jews. The other side was considered the dark side. In fact, when Jesus says, hey, let us go to the other side, the disciples would have gone, for what? Why would we do that? You know those people want to kill you. And usually if people start throwing stuff at you, we're in the picture with you. So if they throw some rocks at you, I'm probably going to get hit with a rock too. So why are we going to the other side? Jesus is going, I got something you have to see. Immediately when they get there, he's encountered by a demon-possessed guy. The minute they landed, there was no soft landing. There was no ramp. There was just immediate discomfort. But here's how that story ended when they were there. It says, and he went away and began to proclaim in Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and everyone marveled. He cast a demon out of a guy, and he went around town telling everybody about it. They're on the other side. They're not just on the other side, learning about somebody that's different than them. They're on the other side, making a difference. And for some of us, we are so bought into our side that we can't see another side at all. We won't even go there. Imagine if we did. Field trip, number 1, lesson. The goal of going to the other side isn't to be comfortable, it's to be effective. You see, if Jesus would have just stayed around his region, people just like him, looked just like him, how could he be effective at even making a statement of like making disciples of all nations? Which is why I love what's happening here at Chase Oaks, where we're encouraging everybody on the 5th weekend of every month to have dinner with somebody that doesn't look like them. I believe that's very practical. I think we all can do that. Maybe it's via Zoom, maybe it's via house party, maybe it's via FaceTime, but hey, you make it fun. It's a challenge. But for those of you who are willing to go there, what about on the fourth weekend and the third weekend when we see somebody that doesn't look like us? Should we wait till the next month? Man, what if we engaged those that don't look like us on a more regular basis? I know, it's uncomfortable, but what would it look like for us to be effective? What if we had some questions? What if we just said, hey, how are you processing 2020? I ask this to people all the time. Black people, white people, mixed people, Portuguese people, Scottish people like myself. Hey, what's it like in your world? I mean, what's it like to be you? Here's what I believe. I believe we should embrace opportunities to engage with people who look different than us. And when we do, we should take notes over giving lessons. Not, here's what you need to do. It's what can I learn? What can I learn from somebody that doesn't look like me? Guess what? Your future depends on it. Because you don't want to wake up in the year 2045 and look back and go, man, I could have been doing homework a lot sooner. Second field trip, ladies and gentlemen. Mark 7, chapter 24 says, and from there he arose and went away to the region of Tyre and Sidon. And he entered a house and did not want anyone to know, yet he could not be hidden. But immediately a woman whose little daughter had an unclean spirit heard of him, and came and fell down at his feet. Now the woman was a Gentile, a Syro-Phoenician by birth, and she begged him to cast the demon out of her daughter. And he said to her, let the children be fed first, for it is not right to take the children's bread, watch this, ladies and gentlemen, and throw it to the dogs. Wow. But she answered him, yes, Lord, yet even the dogs under the table eat children's crumbs. And he said to her, for this statement, you may go your way. The demon has left your daughter. She went home and found the child lying in bed and the demon gone. Jesus is in now another region, Tyre and Sidon, and two Gospels tell this woman's story. Matthew calls her a Canaanite woman. Mark uses Syro-Phoenician, which she lived in Phoenicia, which was technically a province of Syria. But her ancestry, DNA, would be mostly Canaanite, which would be a Jew's most arch rival, Israel's arch rival. Yet he's in this region for one person. One individual. And in this conversation, he references he references a dog and says, hey, I can't do this. In fact, Matthew, the way he tells the story, he says, but he did not answer her a word. And his disciples came and begged him, saying, send her away, for she is crying out after us. We're annoyed by this, really, again. Come on, Jesus, do something about this. Jesus is testing this woman's faith. The Jewish art of learning was almost riddle-like, answering a question with a question. Oftentimes you'll see Jesus ask a question and he'll respond with a question. So sometimes Jesus uses euphemisms that they would have been familiar with to test whether or not they had what it took to be a true disciple. Jesus is testing this woman, and she passed the test. Now, let's just say you're the disciples. You've just told Jesus, hey, come on, can you get rid of this lady? She's barking at it, and we're in a region, and she doesn't, we would consider her like a little puppy, okay? So Jesus is going, yeah, but she's going to walk away with a miracle. How do you think the disciples felt about Canaanite women after that? I mean, just imagine the next time that they're hanging out with their friends, someone in their family, and someone makes a Canaanite joke. They're going, yeah, you see, it's just different now. And the best part of her story in Mark is verse 31. It says, then he returned from the region of Tyre and went through Sidon to the Sea of Galilee in the region of the Decapolis. He's going back to a worse place, which means Jesus was only there for her. Tyre and Sidon are about 40 miles away from where Jesus was. And it might be an obvious question. How did Jesus get there? He walked 40 miles for one woman who was nothing like him. And the disciples were on this field trip. For every single person watching, I want you to know something. Jesus walks. There is no place that you could go. There's no, you might think, oh, I'm so far gone. You're not. There is no distance Jesus would not come for you or for me. You might say, Ron, you don't know what I've done. I know what Jesus has done. And you know what? If the disciples, they're watching Jesus do amazing things for groups. They're watching Jesus do amazing things for individuals. And field trip number 2 lesson is biases about whole groups deteriorate by experiencing the stories of one. Have you ever thought something about a whole group? Then it just changed. Something happens when we get close, when we build proximity. Jesus is showing the disciples, man, I'm putting you in some uncomfortable situations, and we're growing together. Last stop. It's in Mark chapter 8. In those days, when again a great crowd had gathered and they had nothing to eat, he called his disciples to him and said to them, I have compassion on the crowd because they have been with me now 3 days and have nothing to eat. And he directed the crowd to sit down on the ground, and he took the 7 loaves, and having given thanks, he broke them and gave them to his disciples to set before the people, and they set them before the crowd. And ladies and gentlemen, they're back in the Decapolis, a very racially tense place. When Jesus fed 5,000 people, it was actually Jewish people that they were feeding. Now, it's an away game. Now they're on someone else's turf. And this time, Jesus says, hey, I'm going to break this bread and multiply this fish. You go serve those people. It's a game changer. They're on a field trip. They're on the other side. Hello from the other side. Field trip number 3 lesson. We know we're becoming more like Jesus when we can value another life enough to serve it. It's one thing to think that we're equal. It's another thing for me to humble myself to say, you know what? I am going to serve you. I love what Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 says. It says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself. That's my prayer for us this weekend. Is that we would walk with so much humility that we would look around at the lives around us and value them above our own. Because that's the Jesus thing to do. My hope and prayer is that we would spend individual and corporate time going to the other side of our perspectives, the other side of our opinions, the other side of our debates, sometimes even the other side of town, just to experience a different world than the one we're used to. So yeah, we're going there a little bit. So if you find yourself today being Caucasian, Scottish, Walesy, yeah, I want you to value a life that doesn't look like yours. If you find yourself like me from Nigeria, Western Bantu, or from Wakanda, yeah, I want you as well to value the lives around you. Because the one race that we're all a part of is the human race. And I think what following Jesus leads us to do is it leads us to some uncomfortable places. And what we realize is perhaps the whole reason Jesus is pointing us in some uncomfortable directions, to have some uncomfortable conversations with some people that don't look like us, is because inside of you and inside of me is some very good news that our world desperately needs. Our neighbors need some good news. The person you work with that is so frustrated with the world around them needs some good news. And we got the best news in town. So yeah, Jesus is taking us on some field trips. And he's going, yeah, we're spreading good news to people that don't look like us. This isn't just for our elitist club of Christians. No, we're not eating in. It's take out into the world around us, regardless of what that person looks like. My hope and prayer is that we would be people that are willing to go to the other side. I want to end this weekend service by praying for our nation. And then we're going to sing a song together called Sea of Victory. And that's a part of the prayer. I'm believing that a lot of the tension that is swirling around race, I'm praying that we would see a victory. That God would be the center of our conversations. That we would be willing to have conversations humbly, honestly. Because if we're honest, a lot of our race conversations are a lot more private than they are public. Things we never say out loud. Man, I hope that we can move towards where we create spaces for one another to really be honest and have some in-depth conversations. And when we go into those conversations, we've got a pen out, we're taking notes. We're not walking in with our slideshow, with our deck. Oh, let me tell you what I've learned. No, it's, man, what's going on in your world? I want to learn from you. Imagine if we all did this together. Can you imagine if we all valued another life above our own? God, I thank you so much for America. I pray for our nation. I pray for the racial unrest, the tension that we feel online and offline. And God, I just pray that you would give us the grace to handle these conversations in the midst of being surrounded by what can feel like a lot of bad news. God, I pray that we would wake up with a sense of the good news of what you have done for us that we could not do for ourselves. God, may we be conduits. May we be ambassadors of good news in our jobs, in our homes, online, on Zoom, on Microsoft Teams, the grocery store, wherever we are. May we be carriers of good news. Help us to go to the other side, and may we be as effective as we possibly can. Help us to see the human race through your eyes, the beautiful creation that you've made. And I pray, God, that in our nation, we would see a victory as it pertains to racial reconciliation. In Jesus' name I pray. Everybody say it. Amen.
The weapon may be formed, but it won't prosper. When the darkness falls, it won't prevail. 'Cause the God I serve knows only how to triumph. Oh, my God will never fail. my God will never fail. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. There's power in the mighty name of Jesus. Every war he wages, he will win. Oh, I'm not backing down from any giant, 'cause I know how this story ends. Yes, I know how this story ends. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. See a victory in Jesus. You take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take it. Thank you so much for being here with us, and we'll see you next week.